Hi, folks. If you have been watching the news, then you would know the coronavirus has created the disease COVID-19, which has negatively affected economies across the world. If you want to know how this is even happening, watch this video.
So first things first, since this video is primarily based in economics, the first thing we should talk about is economic growth, which is an increase in the availability of goods and services at a given time period. The next term is recession, and this is 2 quarters of negative economic growth, so a decrease in the availability of goods and services. For those who don't know, each quarter represents 3 months, so 6 months of negative economic growth would be a recession. So why are these terms relevant to the outbreak? Well, while the virus is active, it will decrease business and consumer confidence since the situation isn't stable and most people would be staying indoors and not working. This will cause a fall in productivity, consumption, and foreign direct investment. Foreign direct investment is investment by foreign businesses and multinational corporations into domestic economies. This concept will be especially important when talking about how COVID-19 affects trade. This affects China the most since the virus originated from there. So it may decrease China's usually high growth, which is 6.5%, which is considered a miracle by economic standards, is and this would be caused by fewer businesses being able to invest there, less consumers buying Chinese products, and workers being absent at their post. Evidence of this is that Chinese industrial production fell by 13.5% in the first 2 months of the year, according to the BBC. International exports and imports are less likely to be bought to avoid the coronavirus contamination. All these factors that I've stated can cause lower economic growth or even a global recession. Price gouging is the case where businesses take advantage of a crisis, such as a natural disaster, or in this case, a virus, and significantly increases prices of necessary goods due to excess and inelastic demand. These necessities include food, water, and the cleaning supplies. This has been illegal in certain countries for good reason. Though, without these price hikes, the fastest consumers would take most of the supply for stockpiling, so the price gouging acts as a rationing function. And recently in this crisis, in America, a man hoarded 17,700 hand sanitizers as well as other cleaning supplies. He was going to sell them on sites like Amazon and eBay, but they particularly forbid the man for selling them at a much higher price. Even in a crisis like this, you can still find humor. And as you can see from this, as you can see in this graph from Economics Help, a small rise in quantity produced from Q1 to Q2 leads to a more than proportionate rise in price from P1 to P2. So the demand is price inelastic. This is mostly because supply is hard to increase, but demand significantly increases due to the coronavirus. Since airports are the best way to spread a dangerous disease, this has obviously led to a cut in demand for flights. And to make matters worse, governments have imposed travel restrictions. The Guardian newspaper reported that the International Air Transport Association predicted the fall in demand for flights would lead to a $29.3 billion cut in revenue for the airline industry in 2020, or £23.7 billion. In addition, the BBC finds more unfortunate news. 415,000 visits from China to the UK occurred from September 2018 to September 2019, where each of them spent an average of £1,680, which is 3 times more than other tourists. With lower Chinese growth, falling passenger demand, and travel restrictions, the UK will lose a significant amount of tourism. This has also affected tourism in other nations. While many workers would have to stay inside their homes, affecting their incomes, the tech industry has a potential solution where some of their workers will instead work in their homes via the internet, so the effect on productivity over this sector will be minimized. However, workers that aren't tech-based yet work in the tech industry, such as cook, will still be affected and will be unable to come to work, hence not having an income for this period. Axios has specifically informed us that tech companies such as Google, Microsoft, and Twitter are taking advantage of this strategy. This wireless solution or working from home also allows other industries whose workers primarily use computers for the occupation to stay at home but still work, such as in accounting or architecture, where reports and building designs can be sent to the company without traveling physically. This would, in the end, not only allow for people to still earn a living, but less likely be sick. Now on to stock markets. A stock market is where traders buy and sell shares, government bonds, and other assets. In times of uncertainty, such as the coronavirus outbreak, stock markets will fall. Now, many of you may believe that the stock market only affects just the top 1%, but that isn't always the case. A fall in stocks will reduce the wealth of consumers who own stocks, so they will spend less, reducing economic growth. Stocks also include pension funds, so a fall in the stock market could cut private pension incomes, which will increase old age poverty. And since the coronavirus will lead to falling share prices, it will be harder for businesses to raise finance on the stock markets. Now, you may think, so what? A business can survive without that, but not all businesses have high profits, which means this will diminish necessary private investment, which will reduce job growth. Furthermore, falling share prices decrease consumer confidence, leading to even less consumer spending, hence, as you can tell by now, less economic growth. In a crisis like this, we need adequate and competent solutions. So what do we have? First of all, central banks have cut interest rates across the globe to incentivize borrowing to encourage economic growth. This is of course ineffective since interest rates are already low, mostly due to the 2008 recession. For example, across most of the Western world, interest rates are at 1% or less. In addition, governments have restricted immigration or closed borders entirely to decrease freedom of movement in order to decrease the exchange of the virus. While this is an adequate solution, it has cost some economic growth, such as a fall in trade. Finally, MarketWatch reports that as businesses such as pubs, bars, and restaurants and cinemas will lose money, the UK government will pay workers 80% of their incomes, up to £2,500 a month. And other nations will probably go to a similar route of subsidies. There are, of course, other economic details that I haven't had time to go over. The value of gold has fallen, which is surprising since gold is considered a safer form of investment. This is due to fears of a global recession, so people demand less gold. In addition, since there's less demand for transport, i.e. airport, there is less demand for oil. So oil prices had fallen at its lowest point since June 2001. And if we still haven't had enough of China, Chinese car sales has fallen as well. In a crisis like COVID-19, in one video can't cover everything. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, please rate and comment. And if you want to see more videos explaining economics in current day topics, then please subscribe. And see you later.